Right, Starfish, welcome to the final lesson of this week's literacy. Now, let me explain what we can see here. On the left, we've got my plan that I showed you in the previous video. And on the right, we've got my write-up, okay? Now, I've highlighted my plan and my write-up in loads of different colors, and we're going to go through it together. I'm going to explain to you why I've highlighted it in different colors, and hopefully that will help you write up your own plan into your final edition. Okay, now you can see here that I've got paragraph 1, I've got my title, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4. I want you to pause video in a moment. Do you think we need to keep those in? Pause it now, have a think. Now, you should have hopefully said, no, I've just put these in for now, just so when we're looking at it together, we can see, okay, this is clearly paragraph 1. So on the left here is my plan for paragraph 1. So you can see here in the yellow, I've written that up over here. Okay, and the blue here, this one sentence, I've written that up into this. Okay, so you can see here, I've added loads of detail from here to here, and similarly with this one. Okay, let's read through it together, and we can just talk about what I've added in to add more detail to that paragraph. So, after setting off on her dangerous quest to Mount Merope, Lila proved herself worthy of becoming a firework maker. She returned bearing amazement. And this is why we read through it as a group, because you can see that I've not written bearing correctly. So just put an E in there. So we're correct. Well done to those children that noticed that. She returned bearing amazing, exciting, and mystifying ideas for her big display. Not only did she return from this amazing journey with these sensational ideas, but also 3 gifts. These gifts were courage, determination, and willpower. Now we can see here, the yellow part here is exactly what I've got here. Now, I've made sure that I've mentioned these gifts were courage, determination, and willpower, because remember, when you're writing it up, those gifts are going to stay the same. Now, look at these 2 sentences here. What do we need to change? Just have a look. I'll highlight it just so we can clearly see. What could we change here? Not necessarily anything bad, but how could we make that sentence better? Or what could we perhaps edit? Yeah, let's have a look. So if you wanted to pause that there, amazing. I said the word amazing twice. So we can choose a different adjective here. I'm going to go with fantastic. Okay, just so we're not repeating that same adjective. Okay. Now, the blue part here, we can see I've added loads of detail. Instead of just saying, this reminds me of Amelia Earhart, I have added a whole load of stuff here. So the courage, determination, and willpower that Lila shows reminds me of Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was a famous pilot, was a female pilot who was determined to show that women were capable of flying, or were capable flyers. She set out to break many world records, including becoming the first woman to fly across the Atlantic in 1928, attempted to do this solo trip in 1932, and setting off to be the first woman around the world in 1937. Okay, now this is why we read through our work. See here, first woman, to be the first woman to fly around the world in 1937. Now we can see here the blue part, like I said, I've added loads more detail to that. Now this part here, I'm going to explain to you why I've left this blank. Now let's have a look at this first, and then we can see why. So these achievements of Amelia remind me of the gifts Lila showed for many reasons. Now I've left that in blank because I want that to introduce this next part here. Okay, so we've got our paragraph 2, 3, and 4. I want you to pause the video in a moment. What could we add at the start of each of these paragraphs to, again, make our work a bit more structured? So if you want to pause it now, have a pause, have a think. So we could add in our sentence openers, okay, or just our time connectives. So I'm going to add in here, firstly, comma, Amelia showed, we've got secondly, or in fact, if I didn't want to use secondly, we could use also, okay, secondly, comma, after becoming, And lastly here we've got finally. Now the reason why I've left that in blank is because I need to add this sentence in here before I can start listing them off and saying firstly, okay? If I didn't have that sentence and I just went firstly, secondly, it wouldn't make sense, okay? So we've got to introduce what we're going to start listing. So these achievements of Amelia remind me of the gifts Lila showed for many reasons. Firstly, secondly, finally, okay? If we didn't have that sentence, it wouldn't flow as well, okay? Now, the reason why I've highlighted each of these paragraphs in 3 colors is because the 3 bullet points I've put here. Now, remember, when you're writing yours up, and we've asked you to just use 3 sentences, I've kind of cheated a bit. I've done a bit more than 3 sentences in each of them. And you can see here the parts that aren't highlighted are the extra pieces of information I've added in, just because I wanted to make my work that bit more interesting and hopefully enjoyable for you. So that opening part here, the green sentence, is what we've got here. So firstly, Amelia showed unbelievable courage when she became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic in 1928. Here, I've added in my opener here, and I've just added in the date. And now I'm adding a bit of context, a bit of background information to Amelia during that time. So during this time, aeroplane travel was nothing like it is today. On this dangerous journey, she was joined by a crew of only 2 other people named Bill and Slim. This trip took 21 hours before it finally landed in Wales. Upon returning to the United States, she was met with a parade and even got to attend a reception at the White House in recognition of her achievement in being the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. So you can see here each of those sentences. I've not just copied them straight from here into here. I've added in that bit more detail, okay? If you'd like to, you can just pause the screen now and you can just have a clear look. I won't read through the whole thing. So I haven't highlighted these in the right colors. So if you'd like to, pause the screen in a moment and you can just clearly see, hopefully, how I have written, or rather how I've added more detail to these points to here. Okay, so pause it now if you want to. If not, let's have a look at this one together. So I'm going to enlarge this one now. So remember, when you're writing yours out, we're not going to have the paragraphs there, or rather we're not going to have the headings on paragraphs. We're just going to set it out like that. Now remember, the reason why I added that in was just so you're able to see clearly which paragraph was which, okay? Now down here we've got our final paragraph. This one we can very briefly look at our plan. We don't necessarily need to. But my final paragraph is similar to the one here, except I've added in just this opener here. Lila and Amelia share many great similarities, okay? Now, the reason why I've added that in and I've underlined it, same I've done that with the other 3 or the other 4 paragraphs, is that opening sentence for each of your paragraphs should tell the reader what that paragraph is about, okay? So Lila and Amelia share great similarities. So here I'm, sort of saying how they share those similarities. Here, we know that's about willpower. This sentence here, we know it's that she was determined to become the first woman to fly this trip solo. And here we know it's about courage, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you to have a little think here as well. Now, this is our last paragraph, okay? And it's our conclusion, okay? So we're summarizing all the ideas that we've sort of put together in this piece of writing so far. Now, I'm not sure if you have reward systems at home or that type of stuff, but if you're able to pause the video in a second and tell your parents, Kara, or whoever, what you think we could put at the start of this sentence, I would give you a sticker or a star, but have a think. Pause it now, have a think. What could we opener could we put at the start of here? Now, if you said finally, you would be incorrect. We could put this in conclusion. Now, when we're saying that, we know that paragraph, we're going to be concluding our argument. Concluding is like ending. We're ending our argument, or not even argument. We're ending what we've been writing about. So you could write in conclusion, or you could write in summary. So remember, in that paragraph, you're summarizing what you've been discussing, or you're concluding your discussion. Okay. Now that's all there for you. Like I said, if you need to pause the video now, you can just have a look at what I've done. Now remember, the yellow parts, those 2 sentences, again, we've padded that out so much. Similarly, this paragraph here, we've padded that out. We've added loads more detail to those points we put. And again, I do apologize that I've cheated. I've used more than 3 sentences, but if you wanted to use, just stick to the 3 sentences, you can see here, it would just be those colors there. Now remember, when you're writing yours out, you do not need to highlight it in different colors or underline those parts. I've just done that so you're able to hopefully see a bit more clearly how I've added detail to it. Okay. Now good luck with it. I hope this video was useful, and yeah, good luck with that writing. Also make sure we've got our title at the top. Okay. Good luck with that writing, and yeah, enjoy.